As we take up space in this world, we must also address how this world strips us of our identities. The stress of life caused by this militant man in a garden eludes us. We seek issue as our ancestors would seek out tribulation and resources in order to live life. In a world where much is given, we can only focus on what we lack. This instability that brings us into being is also what brings our existence to an end. In life, we are afflicted with mind and body. We grow, we change, we develop, all unintentionally. It's not our doing that we grow another inch over the summer. We're not actively doing that. It's unintentional, it's unconscious. Nothing has value at face value in the face of man. We in reality have no control. Control needs power. And in most ways, we are divided by things outside of ourselves. Does society dilute self-identity?
I feel like society doesn't dilute self. What was it? What was the question again?
Does society dilute? Yeah.
I don't think that it does. I think society encourages self-identity, but I feel like it's like a false self-identity. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like people try to emphasize self-identity, like knowing who you are, but I feel like because it's so emphasized, people end up being something that they're not.
That is a really good question. My initial reaction to that question, do I think society dilutes self-identity? Yes. Yes, I do. I think self-identity, I said that word weird. Self-identity is something that is inherent to the self. I know that's really obvious to everyone listening, but I think in the way that self-identity is portrayed in society, there are categories that you have to pick and choose from, and that's what creates your self-identity. Like, they set out a list of maybe 20 to 50 categories, just an arbitrary number, and you pick from those categories the ones you identify with most, and that's what creates your self-identity, when I think it's so much deeper than that, because you go back to the whole term of like intersectionality, and like I think it's much more, I think it's less concrete than what it's portrayed to be. And I know that some people feel that way too, but a lot of people think that, oh, I'm going to pick and choose these traits and this is what makes me me. No, I think it's much deeper than that. I think like it's a combination of, like I say in every video, a combination of your environment, a combination of what you grew up around, a combination of things that you like or things that make you happy. It's much deeper than what's being portrayed, or what I've seen being portrayed, because not everybody has the same experience as me.
Without a doubt, because so many aspects of society that tell you how to be who you are, and like you're always trying to appease others' perceptions of yourselves. And it's hard to find your true self, your true authentic self, while living in a world that's like always trying to tell you to be one way or be the other way.
For example, great things like racial differences, or maybe something a little bit less stipulated, like political parties, political views. Each time we're divided by things like this, we lose our power. Through this forced almost division, those who sit above us in ways are more able to control our identities. This society is constructed and controlled by those so high up that they can't be seen. But should they be found? What exists past society? Who are we but the stolen and renovated parts of other people? Or a collective sense of morality and human nature jumbled up into what we think we should act like? And if that truly was the case, wouldn't it be smarter to take all the good parts from good and powerful people to let yourself become more in control? And I think this is the question that allows us to posit the idea that we all have individual self-identity. We must, in some way, have a part of ourselves that is truly genuine. However, this genuine part of the self, I feel, is invisible in society. We are like water in a cup, and this cup is society. And everything within this cup is functioning within society. So no matter what you do, I think you're still playing in the hands of society.
So do you think that identity is at all based on society?
Yes, but I don't think all of your identity is based on society. I think there are certain parts that make you who you are based on how you're perceived in society, and some things you can't choose how you are being perceived, and that's, you might not claim that to be part of your identity, but at the end of the day, how people perceive you is a part of what they think your identity is, which ends up being somewhat a part of your identity in terms of like reputation and things like that. However, my big claim is that those things don't have to affect you. You do not have to let the perception of others affect how you dictate your identity or how you carry yourself. So while it may be a small part of your identity, that doesn't have to affect your actions and how you choose to carry yourself.
So do you feel like identity is based off society nowadays?
Yes. I think that a lot of times people's identity is based on other people's perception of them rather than what they actually are. So I think in that way it is influenced by society.
I think over time it definitely has evolved to be based over society, because society tells you what to be, and in turn, like, you internalize that, and then you learn from society how to be your true self. Because like, you live in a society that tells you to be a certain way. It makes sense that you have to like follow in that path to find what your identity is, because you can't just be isolated from society and make your own identity when like you're already like living through society.
If I purposefully go against the societal standard of something, like if they say hat wearers are cool and I purposely don't wear hats, I'm still playing in the hands of society, even though I'm not conforming to what the majority does. If this glass were to break and society were to crumble, our identities and who we are, I feel, would be almost infinite. However, this infinite identity of ours will have no definition. Like water outside a glass, we won't be able to have these simple, feelings and connotations attached to our very being that allow us to experience what it means to be human. So society is a necessary something. However, that doesn't make society in and of itself a good thing. This absence of definition is the allowance of self, which is diluted by life. The more we think we are, the less we truly can be. That is to say that the more we have a definition for who we are, the less able we are to be fluid in every circumstance and allow ourselves to truly blossom as people.
And what is society?
Wow. That's a deep question. I feel like society is, what is it? Who is it?
Sure.
It's everyone, it's the people that you interact with on a daily basis. I feel like that is the most important aspect of society. It's the people that you interact with on a daily basis, the people that you see like in person, the people that you interact with on the internet. You know what I mean? I think it's that. The people
that can affect you.
Yes. The people that have an influence on your life, whether directly or indirectly.
Thank you.
Yes. You're so welcome.
Final question. What is society?
I'm going to give you my classic answer.
That's not too broad.
I think that's too broad of a question. I think that's different for everybody. I think now, and I just use it this way in this very interview. I think society is a mass of, not people, but like a mass idea that people portray the things that are portrayed onto them. So they'll be like, society wants me to be like this, but I'm going to be different. Society wants this, society wants that. I think society is being personified as like a villain in some cases, where not all, but in some situations, the perpetrator is within, and it's not. So you can say society wants me to be that. Society very well may want you to be that, but unless you actively choose to be that, you don't have to be that, right? So if you're saying society made me this way, society made me that way, society suggested it, but you in and of yourself took it upon yourself to take society's suggestion and and essentially ingrain it within yourself. But I think at the end of the day, again, there are also some things that you can't control that are pushed onto you. So I think in those situations, it's not the fault of one if they have circumstances and things pushed onto them that then shape their identity. It's a whole like ball of yarn. There are so many pieces that you could pull out that lead to other pieces and things like that. I think, like I said, what is society is too broad of a question.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Society is the community that you see and live with. It's just like all around you. When I think of society, I just think of macro scale, the whole entire world. But then, like on a level, like on a smaller scale, I think of just like your peers, your friends and family, and just like in general, everybody you hang around with, the system that you're involved with, like Ohio State's a society, Black Men's a society, America as a whole society. So like just all different layers of societies.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
The man who thinks the journey is over is the one who is truly lost. You think you found the answer, found the end, and now you're stuck because you think that's all that is. I think that our identity should be adaptable, not immovable. And there should definitely be parts or times where we should be unshakable. But in aspects of who we think we are, I think that that idea should be very flexible and somewhat tailored to the benefit of ourselves. Like negative self-thinking and negative self-identity or negative image of yourself, I feel is like how could that be beneficial to you? So I think we should always posit some sort of positive image in our head regardless of what society may think of us. We should have no problem separating the self from the experience. Some experiences in life aren't necessarily tailored to show you exactly who you are, more so give you a new perspective of a specific thing. We don't need to necessarily associate with these bad parts, like how people associate with the trauma and then they find themselves being more stuck within it because they think it's a trauma that defines them. And then they're unable to truly experience other things because all they think they are is this reaction to a negative circumstance. In life, we must be, but this being or existing is not being ourselves.